Yo, great people of Earth, thank you very much for clicking this video, man. Respect and much love to yourself. Today we shall be reacting together through a variety of videos. Good vibes, woke, funny, creepy, you name it. All with the intentions of spreading unconditional love, peace, forgiveness, and unity among humans across the whole world. Straight out of Africa with lots of good vibes. Lots of good vibes, I mean. Kindly hit the like button. Tell us where you are watching from and leave some comments. See? Grab some snacks there and let's dive in. Good vibes, man.
About a month ago, I was in the dentist office and they said they wanted to remove my wisdom teeth. Why? I'm 50, dude. I'm used to them and they don't bother me. They were rather insistent and persistent and said that they cause problems like sleep apnea and cheek biting. Well, who gives a shit? Leave them alone, I thought, as I ignored their request. It got me thinking, however, why on earth would they have this procedure in their selling kit for middle-aged men? I don't trust institutions, let alone a dentist who insists on an unnecessary procedure just to gain revenue, but what if there was something more to it? Why remove these in the first place? Why are they called wisdom teeth? After some minimal research, the molars actually start by growing in sideways. Okay, this causes impacting, which can be painful and uncomfortable. Other stories include evidence of evolution and the Industrial Revolution playing a role as harming the growth due to heavy metals and chemicals in our food. Okay. Then I saw a TikTok video about it, which said it's a $3 billion industry. Tell me more. The TikTok video went on to say that each tooth in the human mouth is related by a meridian to an organ in the body, some kind of energetic pathway, which the wisdom teeth actually lead to the human heart and the pineal gland in the brain. Now you piqued my interest. The heart and the pineal gland are the foundation of spiritual enlightenment. The pain that is caused by receiving these teeth really actually wires the brain similarly to a woman who gives birth to a child, as the pain and adrenaline makes new pathways in neuron connections. That makes sense. This changes the brain and its empathy for others' pain by relation. But could this go even deeper? Of course. Like clockwork for me, the moment I put two things together in Google, the NIH website pops right up showing the truth. It seems every time I find unnecessary government procedures tied to the spiritual world, the NIH is number one in all of my searches. They did a study on the pain of extraction of wisdom teeth. Quote, pain after wisdom teeth surgery can be moderate in severity and is compounded by preoperative anxiety in young patients. We studied the effect of melatonin pre-medication on postoperative pain and preoperative anxiety in patients undergoing wisdom teeth extractions, unquote. Ooh. Seems benign in nature, but written in a way for people to choose removing them, as going through receiving them is less stressful. But the study focused on the release of melatonin in the pineal gland. That's when I'm like, huh? What does that have to do with pain? Melatonin helps you fall asleep. Well, read between the lines. The actual study suggests that after removing the wisdom teeth, the energy connected to the pineal gland is removed. The NIH is reporting the fact that in order to be NIH healthy, you need to remove those teeth. But left us a clue for those who are paying attention like me, that it removes your ability to spiritually discern what is going on in the world. Oh, it gets better. 75% of the world on Earth took the mRNA experimental vaccine because they lacked the wisdom to discern between the spiritual evil that follows it. It gets worse. The bankers have been studying our anthropology for hundreds of years. They are religious and are listening to their ghosts for instructions. Their religion is a mix between Judaism and paganism called Kabbalism. They know the pineal gland produces the VMAT2 God gene inhibitor, which slows dopamine down and seeps a serum into the right hemisphere of the brain, allowing you to believe in God. Removing the wisdom teeth actually stops the production of this VMAT2 inhibitor drug that gives us faith by taking out dopamine and imports several monoamine neurotransmitters into vessels in the brain. Let me explain it simpler. This stops a fantasy and offers logic when released. So you don't go into dream world, you actually see logic chemically. So does the wisdom teeth remove the process of faith in the supernatural world? Not necessarily. It actually removes the spiritual connection or energy connection of the pineal gland to the foods we eat. Another example would be, if you had wisdom teeth and a belief system, you would know you are eating food that was sacrificed to idols and avoid it because you just didn't like the taste. Modern science just cut off your ability to eat food that is, well, cursed. You can still believe in God, but eating food that was sacrificed to idols brings demons permission to harm you. At least, that's what the people who run the world think. Believe me, they remove your teeth so you can eat their food and their drugs. So, the wisdom teeth are a spiritual component to food, the last touch of a demonic food before swallowing. A warning system of old that gave us discernment of cursed food or bad food. Now you know why we are all sick and exhausted. If you removed your wisdom teeth, you actually have to pray over your food, or God cannot heal you from eating cursed food. And we all know that the large corporations, the food companies, they are satanic. I mean, why else name your company Kraft? It's in plain sight, guys. Seriously. Modern science has recently came out and said there is no real benefit to removing the wisdom teeth. So why are we still doing it? Well, they excuse the prior demand for profiteering, okay? But there is evidence that also points to a connection to the heart, liver, and the intestines. Their thesis wraps around an infection that causes heart, liver, and digestion problems. But New Agers say the same thing about the pineal gland connection to the heart. They believe by removing the wisdom teeth, you lose empathy and apathy for people. I don't know about that. Although there is little evidence pointing to it, I don't really buy it. But there has been some studies connecting the heart and wisdom teeth in which they claim anxiety runs more in people without wisdom teeth versus people with them. Anxiety and stress can lead to heart problems and all kinds of other things. But the underlying truth in all of this that will not surface is when Rockefeller moved us off of plant-based medicine and switched us to crude oil synthetics, he also aimed his efforts at removing our ability to discern of medicine sacrificed to idols. This seems to be the cause of all of our health problems because spiritually, we eat the crude oil to suppress symptoms and not really cure it, as God gave us the plants for that. Hope this helps.
Huh. That's interesting, man. What do you think about
Here in
that?
the United States, you know, a lot of people are worried about the Russians. They're worried about the Hong Kong police and the New World Order. Let me tell you something, folks. You're losing your country in the courtroom every day. It's in the courtroom with corrupt judges and institutionalized corruption. And I'll tell you what, if you allow, this is my own little political statement, if you allow the Congress and the President to take away the Second Amendment, you will lose all your other rights. I don't believe in toting a gun, carrying a gun, and killing anybody, all right? But the Founding Fathers knew about corruption, and they knew about tyranny. And the reason the Second Amendment is there is to protect all the other rights. And until we consciously make the shift and change everybody else's perspective, I'm afraid, from my perspective, it's a necessary evil. But that's my perspective, okay? You know, I mean, America, you have done so much in such a short amount of time. But you have to understand that when you're a draconian or Orion belief system, there is no such thing as free will, as self-rule in their control. Now, the reason we've been able to get away with it for so long is because, you know, when you look at where we are to the center of the galaxy, we're in the boonies. You know, we're way out here. And they're just now starting to come around, and they realize that the magnetics of the planet, the consciousness of the planet, is starting to change. So they, you know, this is what has attracted a lot of the races to us now. It was also the blasting of nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons not only affect third density, but they affect fourth and fifth. It sends a shock wave through it. Okay? And we were totally irresponsible. We didn't know. We didn't know what we were doing. You know, and that's why a lot of the races started to show up. I mean, they'd been here sooner, but that's when they really started to come in mass. Like, what the hell's going on down there? You know. Next question. Again, I've only got pieces of the puzzle.
I've had a contact a number of years ago, and I know a lot of other people here have, and it was both very powerful and loving, and yet there was also some fear with that. Many of us are now thinking about how can we make contact that feels safe, evolving, loving. Can you speak to that?
I'm asked this a lot, and all I can suggest to you is this. You can literally be and create anything you want. If you want contact, then what I would suggest you do, and this is really the only suggestion I have, is you create the space for it. Now, if you're very comfortable going into the woods, going on a walk and sitting on a rock someplace where you're totally isolated and you're there and you call them down and that works for you, that's fine. Okay, if you want them to come visit you at your home and you set up a specific time and you make tea and you wait for them to come, that's another thing you can do. It's entirely up to you. Okay, but create the space. Show the intent to do it and be in integrity with it. In other words, for that hour or 2 hours that you decide to create the space, do it all the time. Make it always 2 hours. Make it always 2.5 hours. Do it once every 2 weeks, whatever you want. Whatever ritual you want to make it in order to create the space, then that's what you do. Okay? That's the only suggestion I have for you, wherever you went. Okay, next, please.
On your tapes, you talk about how if we have 10% consensus on the planet, it'll be enough to move us through the transition. And you also give an exercise that they taught you about seeing yourself inside out.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in more information about both of those. And in this talk tonight, you've spoken about transfers, and I'm not sure what those are. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Transfers?
When you first started speaking,
Okay, well, let's go to your first question.
oh, okay, yeah.
I was given an exercise. You guys probably all know this stuff already, you know, but something that I was given specifically, which I do every day, and, you know, they never give me answers about myself, and it really pisses me off sometimes. Because, you know, we're looking for shortcuts. I mean, let's face it, we're Earth humans, okay? Anyway, the exercise was to get very, very quiet, get myself into a very humbled space. Sincere space is the word they use a lot. And it was literally to grab the balls of my feet and turn myself inside out, so that everything that's on the outside is now in, and everything on the inside is now out. And when you see yourself upside down, you see yourself strung out like this, very carefully detach yourself and look at who you are. don't get scared. Just work with it. Okay? I mean, that's really the only exercise they've given me. I've had to develop my own things, and you know, I'm still working with those.
Huh. Oh my god.
Wanted to do away with Osiris. So he had him cut up into 14 pieces. Now his body's cut up into 14 pieces. It gets thrown into the Nile River. And Isis, of course, isn't happy about this. Isis tries to collect all the pieces up, and she's only able to find 13 pieces. So she fashions together those 13 pieces to form a more perfect union, which is the framework of our 13 colonies, a more perfect union, based off of the myth of Osiris. Now that's showing Egyptian magic even in the framework and the fabric of our foundation, right? It's not an accident that they brought together 13 colonies to form a more perfect union. That was all by design. It was all manufactured. But what's crazy is that she fashions together these 13 pieces, but guess what piece is missing? So what do? They set up this ritual. That's what the obelisk is, by the way. The obelisk represents the 14th piece that they couldn't find. You find it in the Vatican, you find it in ancient Egypt, you find it here in the States, you find it all over cemeteries, you find it all over the Masonic lodges. It represents the Osiris. And they believe by setting up this ritual, now it's all a recreation of the original ritual that took place between Isis and the 13 pieces of Osiris. The Washington Monument and the Dome of Isis, which is the Capitol building. Now this is fascinating because the original ritual had to take place between in a courtyard, between a dome and an obelisk. Putting those two together like that creates a power generator, literally a generator for this ritual. And the idea is that the seed of Osiris, the seed, is going to come up and emit out of Washington Monument, and it's going to take over whoever our president is. Now this sounds crazy, but think about this. In ancient Egypt, what had happened was the Pharaoh would go through this ritual, he would enter in a man, and he would exit the ritual a god. That was their belief. And they believed that their Pharaoh was literally the embodiment of Osiris because of that ritual. They were calling him up out of the underworld. So what we have in America is this same ritual basically that the Freemasons believe that they have maintained the proper language and the ritual to a T from the ancient world. They claim to have this still today. They're right there between the dome and the obelisk, right there in that power generator, and right around the corner at the Herodome, which is what they call the Masonic Mecca of the world, literally. The Herodome is this temple, this massive, crazy temple in DC. They are up there while they do this ritual, and they are literally doing the raising of Osiris ritual while the presidential inauguration happens at every election. And they are literally calling on the spirit of Osiris to raise up, or Apollo, however you want to slice it, to come out of the underworld and to possess, exits the ritual, a god. Wow. This is what the Freemasons believe. Now people are going to say, well, not every president's a Freemason. Well, most of them have ties to secret societies, but they're not all conscious of the ritual. It's been going on now since the beginning, to our knowledge, since the beginning of this nation being set up. They believe that it's going to stick eventually. See, they don't know which president is going to be the final Osiris. Now, they believed in the foundation of this nation that Washington was a type. He was the first Osiris. Technically, every president in their eyes is an Osiris, but the crazy thing is that not every time the ritual is going to stick. They have to keep doing it until it actually sticks and they get that one that they've been waiting for. This is kind of like when we talk about Babylon working. You know, how many years, was Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard working in the desert trying to get this ritual to stick? They do this at the inauguration of every U.S. president because they believe there is going to come a time in a president that will be the one. He will be the one, and they will go through this ritual when his body lies in state in the Capitol Dome. I believe they're going to do this ritual, and that final raising ritual, that's going to be the one that's going to stick. I don't believe it's going to stick when they're doing it at an inauguration. The real one's going to take place when this Antichrist man dies They lay him in state in the Capitol building beneath the 72 pentagrams and the apotheosis of George Washington. And that's not it. There's so much more numerology about the Capitol building and the 13 statues and the statutory hall. But I believe that's the real ritual. That's the one where he's going to raise, where the spirit of Osiris, which the Bible talks about this Apollyon coming up from the bottomless pit.
Huh? Do you think that is real, man? Oh my
They
God.
are trying to hide what is really in the ocean. The end got me.
We hit some ice. Oh my God. Oh my God. Whoa. Oh. We hit some iceberg. We hit some ice. Oh my God. Oh my God.
No, that is very bizarre. Is that ice? Really?
It's kind of satanic that God had to send a man to die for man. Like
It's
that's
satanic. Let me ask you, do you believe that it is satanic? It's a satanic idea that somebody else takes on the sins of someone else? You believe that that's satanic and evil?
it's not even evil. It's just it's illogical. It's
It's
unfair.
illogical. And
Yeah,
so
it's
this is something that
unfair.
this is something that God would never do?
Why would somebody commit a sin and he would put it on somebody else?
I'm just asking you. What, you're saying God would never do that because it's illogical? It doesn't make sense?
He would not give somebody else's sin.
Okay, so you just condemned Allah.
No, wait, before you go on. Guys, she said he will not condemn you because of someone else's sins. She said it, heard it. Now watch Bilqis, Sheikh, watch what he's going to give you hadith. Sahih Muslim, what are you going to show her?
Sahih Muslim, 2767a. Sahih Muslim, 2767a, bro. It says, Allah's messenger said, when it will be the day of resurrection, Allah would deliver to every Muslim a Jew or a Christian and say, that is your ransom from hellfire. That's your rescue from hellfire. So according to Muhammad, Allah is going to save the Muslims from hell by giving them a Jew or a Christian to replace them.
What? Can I have that hadith, please?
She's shocked.
Shocked. Absolutely, you can have it.
Bilqis.
Yeah, give me that. I would have to do my research, my extensive research on the hadith, and see what it actually means. I know you can
That's
research
it. Now it
the
has to
words.
mean something.
Oh.
Okay. Bilqis, this is why we told you.
What's the name of the hadith?
Sahih Muslim.
So I'm going to tell you where to find it. When you go to sunnah.com, put in 2767a.
I'm telling you guys now, ain't no way in my Quran and Allah says that people would pay for people's sins.
That's what it says here.
I'm not going to give that. I have to see the hadith and I have to understand what it actually means.
Oh, you know, let me do this for you. You know, just for you. You see it? Sahih Muslim 2767a. You see it?
Yeah.
All right. So it says, Abu Musa's reported that Allah's messenger said, when it will be the day of resurrection, Allah would deliver to every Muslim a Jew or a Christian and say, that is your rescue from hellfire. Isn't that crazy?
You want to show? You want him to
It gets worse. That's
Watch
not.
here.
So did you register that?
Bilqis, you got that?
Yeah, I'm typing it up so I can see what the verse come on from and what it actually.
It's right here. It's Sahih
I
Muslim.
know, I've seen it, but it has to have a reason and a meaning.
Yeah, the reason is this. The reason.
I don't think Allah is saying that He's going to give.
Oh yeah, there's a reason. There is a reason.
That's not what it's saying.
The reason is the reason is because a Muslim dies saying La ilaha illallah, while the Jews and the Christians are considered as disbelievers since they reject Allah and Muhammad. So because of that, the Muslim will be rescued from hell by Allah placing their sins upon a Jew or a Christian?
Where do you see that he's placing our sins?
I
on the
got
Jew?
you. That's all you had to ask. I got you. You didn't. That's all you had to ask. Watch this. Abu Burda reported on the authority of his father that Allah's apostle said this: no Muslim would die, but Allah would admit in his stead a Jew or a Christian in hellfire. So Allah's replacing the Muslim with a Jew or a Christian. So the Muslim deserves to go to hell, right? But Allah's going to replace them with a Jew or a Christian.
She just took a picture of that. Now, the other one, he's going to show you. There's another one.
Now watch this one, because you asked about the sins, right? Watch the sins here.
Just remember, this is not Quran, yeah?
Oh!
This is not Quran, this is hadith.
Sahih
And
Muslim.
I have to see how strong this hadith is and how weak this hadith is and what this hadith is about and who was saying this hadith. I have to say who was saying this hadith. Why did they say this? What does that mean?
Muhammad said it.
Why did he write this?
Muhammad said it.
I have to do my research to see if this is an authentic hadith.
It is. It's Sahih Muslim.
If it's weak, or if it's thing, or what does
Sis,
it mean?
sis, it's Sahih. What does Sahih mean? Sahih means authentic. You have Sahih, which is strong, authentic. You have Hassan, which is good. You have Daif, which is weak. This is Sahih Muslim, just like Sahih al-Bukhari. This is Sahih Muslim. Sahih Muslim 2767D. Don't let nobody try to tell you that it's weak. It says here, there would come people amongst the Muslims on the day of resurrection with as heavy sins as a mountain. You looking at this?
I took a screenshot.
So good. So the Muslims will come on the day of resurrection with as heavy sins as a mountain. That's how much the sins they have. And Allah would forgive them, and he would place in their stead the Jews and the Christians. That's how Allah forgives them, by replacing them with Jews and Christians, taking their sins that are as heavy as a mountain and replacing them and placing them on the Jews and the Christians.
Okay, now, Bilkis, can I show you some Quran verses? No? Okay, it's up to you, because you said Quran. He gave you hadith. I want to give you Quran.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, here. I'm going to read for you. 29:12. Quran 29, Surah 29, 12 to 13. Pay attention, okay? And those who disbelieve, say to those who believe, disbelievers say to those who believe, follow our way, and we will verily bear your sins. Never will they bear anything of their sins. Surely they are liars. Now watch though. And verily they shall bear their own loads and other loads besides their own. And verily they shall be questioned on the day of resurrection about that which they used to fabricate. Let me repeat that part. They will bear their own burdens, loads of sin, and other loads besides their own. So here it says there will be people who carry their own burden of sins and also the burden of sins of others. Why? Why are they carrying two loads? Theirs and someone else's.
I don't know.
Okay, can I give you another one from the Quran? Now, for the Christians, that was chapter 29, 12 to 13. Are you ready for the other one or no?
From what I know, like if I have encouraged somebody to sin or I taught them something that was sinful, each time they do it, I will get punished for it as well. That's what I know. But I don't think
she's saying that for what she knows is that if she teaches to do something bad, she'll be punished for teaching someone to do something bad.
Oh, so that means, hold on. If you cause someone a sin, you share in their sin?
Meaning that if I teach
Oh, so you do suffer because of someone's sins, if you have an influence over that.
I'm saying, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying that if somebody sins, it's not my responsibility. But if I have taught them that sin.
Okay.
And I have
so you taught someone a sin, but they commit sin, not you, but you still suffer for the sin they committed, not you.
Yes, and also here's the next fact. Here's the next fact. If I teach someone good, and they have, and if I
wait.
Good, and they do something good, I will always.
If you teach someone to do good and he does the good, it benefits you.
Yes.
So when Jesus did good, it benefited you.
Oh my God, I'm not talking about Jesus.
Yes, Jesus is your God. Oh my God, and Lord Savior. Guys, did you hear it? Wait. If I teach someone to do good and he does the good, then I will be blessed by the good he did. So Jesus did good for us and we benefit.
Wow.
Oh, that is interesting, man. Much love to everybody.